So, to get started, could you please state your name and tell us about your career field?
I will. My name is Doris Nygaard, and I am representing the education field for the academies. Education is pretty broad, and so we're probably going to talk a little bit about that. What we first see are teachers, what we first see are coaches and administrators, but it really goes beyond that, and we'll talk a little bit about that later.
So, how did you get to where you are now in your career?
Once I decided on education and once I became a teacher, I volunteered for everything. Anything that came up that I thought, oh, I think I'd like to see about that or learn about that or try that. I volunteered for everything. Sometimes it was something as silly as maybe putting together a bunch of skits for the kids with other teachers. Maybe it was working with some curriculum. Maybe it was trying to figure out things like intervention programs. But the whole idea was to engage as much as I could into this particular program so that I learned as much about it as I could. I understood as much about it, and I had my questions answered about it so that I could continue to make contributions, learn a little bit more. And so basically, what it did is it led me to being engaged in enough things that the district gave me the confidence to take on the program I'm doing now, which is I am the senior, I am the teacher for the seniors in education pathways. That with me, you earn college credit. You have a chance to actually be involved with outstanding mentor teachers, with classrooms. You know what it's like to get up on a Monday morning and go to see kids and see what a Friday afternoon is like also.
In thinking about your daily work, what's your favorite part of your job? And is there a part that is not as enjoyable?
The favorite part of my job is probably what lured me into teaching, and that is I have some structure, but at the same time, I have a lot of flexibility and I have a lot of supportive colleagues. And there's not a day, Chandler, you've been in the classroom now. There's not a day where there's not some laughter somewhere. And I think that's healing and I think that's healthy.
Mhm.
I like the fact that it allows me to grow. I didn't have to do the same thing over and over again, like you might. And for some people, for a job that might be great, but it wasn't for me. And yet there was some familiarity with what we did every day. I liked becoming part of a team, even if it meant my heart broke a little bit when those kids would leave the next year and go to something else. I got a new crop of great kids too. And so that's the best part about my job. I get to design and create and engage and laugh. And the worst part about my job, inevitably, there are things that crop up that affect my kids' success. Now, I'm not saying overall success, but I'm saying there are challenges that happen that affect them that moment or that day or that year. And I'm frustrated sometimes when I can't fix that. All I can do is help them develop tools for they can fix it themselves, or at least they can deal with it themselves. And I sometimes never know whether we were successful or not.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part.
So, what was the very first job you ever had? And what did you learn in that experience?
Well, the first job that I had was as a bridal consultant. And what I learned from that that helped, I know, with education was the fact that I had to meet with people and I had to figure out how to listen to them and decide what they wanted and what they needed and how to engage some things that maybe had disagreements in them. If anybody's watched whatever that Say Yes to the Dress, you know what that's like, okay? The second job I had was as a potter at a national park. I made pottery. I made cups and mugs and plates, and that's generally what's sold. And again, I had to be willing to listen to people that came in. I had to sometimes hold back on what my day was, if it was bad or whatever. Let's listen and let's kind of figure out what somebody else needs. And it would inevitably make my day better if it had started badly. my first teaching job, I subbed,
Mhm.
and I subbed all over the district. And I had a chance to see where I wanted to go. And I had a chance to zero in on what I didn't really want to do in terms of grade levels or subject matters, kind of like what you guys are getting to do as seniors right now. I had to wait until not only had I done my student teaching, but even working on my substituting and student teaching at the same time. So I'm delighted that you guys have this opportunity now as seniors to do that.
And being one of those seniors, it really is like getting to find out what kind of grade levels we want to work with and what we want to go into, and not having to pay a whole lot of money for it either. If we decide we don't want to go into elementary, instead we want to do middle school, and then that's thousands of dollars we have to change to do that.
Every time you would do that, you would have to pay a new semester's worth of work, and you don't for us. You know, we want you to be able to walk out of our district knowing I have an idea of where I want to go. And I maybe even have some goals set for the future. I may want to begin as a teacher, but I may want to include coaching in that. I may want to become a counselor in time. I may want to actually become an administrator or work with curriculum or be a department chair. Now, there's a lot of different things that you can do, but let's start with getting to know those classrooms.
Hmm. Deeper into it, what did your educational pathway look like?
Well, just so we know, I am an Independence graduate, and I did graduate from Truman, but I've taught at every single high school since then. So my loyalties are all over the place. When I began in high school, I really did not know that I wanted to be a teacher. If they had had programs like these for me to explore, I would have known better. It took me a while in college, and I went to a 4-year school first to figure out where I wanted to go. And as late as my junior year, I was spending a lot of money and making a lot of decisions that I was discarding after I sampled some things. But when I decided to go into education, it was in English education. And then I subbed and thought, where do I want to go? Where do I really want to do? And I then began my final certification for teaching while I worked on my master's. And I did it while I was teaching in Independence. And it's nothing better than working on your graduate programs while you're actually teaching, because you have the chance to have the best lab schools. They're your classes, they're your neighbors' classes, they're the working with teachers that you've had before. So it's a good experience and it's a good way. And I say go right through. The minute you think you're ready to start working on that postgraduate, your post 4-year degree, do it, because this is the time. You've got the kids, you've got the places.
What is your definition of success?
You know, that's tough because it changes. You know, sometimes there's momentary or smaller successes that says this was a good day. This was a day where lessons were learned and we took care of some things, and it was everyone was left feeling successful or feeling good. I think overall, my biggest success, if I look at my career, is realizing that I've had the opportunity to work for a program, a district where, trying to get some light here, here we go, where I honestly felt that the philosophy was to make the world a little bit better. Whatever we touch, whether it's a moment with a kid, they should feel more skilled or more comfortable or better about something. My colleagues, I know that if I have a tough day, inevitably there'll be somebody who will make it better for me. And I think we work in a success is to say, I work in a district that's been here a very long time and been amazingly important to the community and does make our world better.
What can students do now to prepare themselves to get a job in this field in the future?
I don't know if this has been shown to freshmen, sophomores, juniors. I'm assuming it's anywhere from 8th grade on. Think about what you need to do in order to hold a good job. You need to have good attendance. I don't care who you work for or where you work. You need to be flexible. You need to be proactive. Proactive means I see something that needs to be done and I'm going to engage and see if I can do that. You need to be respectful, both of yourself, meaning your own time, your own health, but also the people that you work with. Um, Academically, you need to be strong. One of the things that's kind of cool is that you learn more about something as you teach it, but you need to have a pretty good academic work ethic, especially by the time you get into eighth, ninth, 10th grade or something. You have to recognize there are things that need to be done and things you need to learn. Your grade point average at this point is still very important. College will require a fairly high grade point average, at least 2.5 to 3 in your area of interest, because they want to make sure you have a kind of interest and passion and curiosity about what you're going to teach or the group of kinds of kids you're going to teach. You need to be able to make sure you have some time free in the last couple years of your high school. So follow your counselors, check and see what you need to do. Explore the education pathway as a freshman. Take human growth and development your sophomore year. You'll take it with a bunch of kids that are taking other pathways too. So it becomes very interesting. You're not just educators there. You're real people with real different interests. And you learn a lot about how people grow into who they are. That scope and sequence of development is pretty amazing. You can see that with the kids you work with. You can kind of pick that and say, oh, I know what the third graders deal with, or I know what the eighth graders deal with. So that's good. By the time you're a junior, you're free to take Pathways to Teaching 1. That you'll take in your high school also, and it's a full year course. And you get to learn about the fundamentals. You get to look at teachers as teachers from the point of view of being maybe a teacher yourself. You really have a chance to go into some classrooms, everything from high school to little ones. You get to plan some lesson plans. You get to do some research on where education came from and who says what and how we do it and how it's funded. It's all about you in relationship to this new program. I'm a teacher.
Mhm.
And then your senior year, you're ready for me. And I basically am just I'm a steward for you. I work with you with a seminar. I bring in what the university says. This is what we want our freshmen to know about and be able to do. And then I'm lucky in our district to allow you more hours in a classroom than people see before they even student teach as high school, as college seniors. You're going to put in a lot of hours in the afternoon, but you become young adults, high school student in the morning, and really a very responsible young adult in the afternoon. You know the program, you need to be able to leave and go into a classroom, work with an outstanding mentor teacher, let all kinds of little kids love them. You guys fall in love with them too. I know that. And so when you get to that point, then we're back to not only what you know academically, but how your heart works, how your soul works. And can you be flexible? And can you be empathic? Can you show that you're willing to engage in who they are and help them see who they are as little ones? And that's kind of where you go. Start right along. Freshman, sophomore, junior, we have something for you to do that'll get you ready for a successful senior year.